This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
As some of you may know, I've been coerced into reading a manga called Kitchen Princess that was recommended to me by you guys, my viewers, and it's actually really good so far. Not only did I decide to pick up this cute shoujo manga about baking, romance, and the pursuit of life, I'm also on a very egregious quest to make all 53 recipes inside. I took on a whopping 21 recipes last video. Please clap. But I'm moving forward with the story. Najika, the main character and an impressive baker with an absolute sense of taste, was suddenly kissed by Daichi, the brash and slightly reckless son of the school's head director. So scandalous. God, I love shoujo. Things have been cute so far, but I had to sit down here with you guys for this video, going over these next 3 volumes because, well, there's no other way of saying this. Is about to hit the fan in this manga. Because death, trauma, and all-encompassing tragedy in your sweet, comfy, baking-themed manga is apparently more likely than you think. Najika, obviously still startled and confused by Daichi's sudden kiss, now has a new problem. Because according to the very emotionally mature and 14 or so year old Daichi, the kiss didn't mean anything. Shocking. No, I get why he tried to do this. He thought it would make things less awkward between them. If he downplays it, it respects her desire to be friends, as well as her obvious crush on his brother. But Daichi, of course, can't articulate these feelings, and instead makes Najika cry. He's not great at this, which is why he asks for Sora's help to cheer Najika up. Sora is great at this. He brings her to several shops, eats tons of desserts, shows her how much he cares, and like magic, Najika is back to her old self and inspired again. Inspired enough to make a strawberry tart as a trial dessert for the Western confectionery competition. And what do you know? I happen to make the same one. I have that shirt too, kinda. This was my second time ever making a tart, my first time ever being in the Yumedo Patissier video, and the recipe in this manga just, blew me away. I didn't have the exact pan size recommended for this recipe, so I had to make a quick decision, and it looks like the crust chose for me. Making custard for some reason stresses me out, but the end result of this was a custard so good, I swear I need to make this again. It also wasn't suggested to use pie weights when baking the crust, but I realized it when it was too late that that was something I could have done. Oh well.
You almost don't want to cut into it. Oh wait, it's so pretty!
I freaking loved this, and I cannot stress that enough. It was so good. Because it has strawberries on top, it is actually a perfect recipe to make for this month's magic menu prompt on my Patreon, which is, by the way, now open! And I'm so excited about it. There are community prompts, behind the scenes extras. We're watching Sailor Moon season 1 on there with a bonus video to follow. I'm just so happy to finally have the time to make extra content, so you should come and join the little magical corner. Okay, this strawberry tart is good and all, but is it enough to win a competition round where the main goal is to make a dessert that stimulates the 5 senses? Well, to me, it was more than enough. But under Fujita-san's suggestion, Najika prepares herself to make castella. And she doesn't make just any plain old castella. She makes black sesame castella. Now, I'll admit, I wasn't thrilled to see this recipe on the roster. I've tried black sesame frozen yogurt one time in my life, and I can confidently say that that was $4 I'll never get back. But I'll try anything once. Or twice, I guess. I was enamored by the black sesame powder in general, so curiosity kept me going. At a certain point while steaming this cake, I had to look up what castella actually even is. Certainly something you do when the cake is already in the process of being cooked. And oh my gosh, the method of making this cake and its final result is so cool, actually. It looks so perfectly moist and probably tastes just as good. But I didn't quite know how I was going to achieve such a texture on stovetop like the recipe in the manga suggests. And quite frankly, I was worried that I was going to undercook it. So naturally, I overcooked it.
Honestly, I think I might have put it in for a little too long.
The thing that really sucks about some of these recipes, aside from the lost in translation moments, is that my only frame of reference is a black and white manga picture the size of my thumb. If I didn't watch a video about Castella, I wouldn't have even known that I made mine incorrectly. But I know you want to hear about the taste, and it was fine. It's definitely not my go-to flavor, but it's interesting. I can definitely see how this would be a tea cake. And it's a cake that wins Najika a spot in the final round. Sora, Fujita-san, even Daichi, who came to her rescue again in this competition. He just seems to keep doing that. Everyone's so happy for her, but no one is as happy as the director of Seika Academy, who is not only the man who invited her to the school, he's also Sora and Daichi's father. And boy, does this man want to make a show out of Najika. The tragic story of the girl who survived the accident that killed her legendary pastry chef parents is heading to the final round of a prestigious competition in their posthumous honor. And she'll also be the spokesperson for our new cooking school, coming this spring. Najika's understandably upset by this kind of attention, but not as upset as she is to find out that Sora was in on his father's plan. Devastation. But no, Najika doesn't understand. After getting to know her, Sora changed. None of this was fake. This was real. Masterful trope reconstruction, honestly. This was like fake dating without the dating. But in order to prove the legitimacy of his feelings, Sora stays up all night making none other than a crepe cake. If you've been here long enough, you might know that the crepe cake and I go way back.
Oh, it's hot. Oh, it's hot. How am I supposed to do this? Oh my god.
I might have struggled, but I got it. Eventually. And because I made so many successfully that time, I went into this crepe recipe with confidence. So much confidence that I barely filmed myself making the batter. I was like, let's get right to it.
This has been a source of so much anxiety over the past 20 minutes. I don't know why. It's giving me so much stress.
Literally, how can this be happening again? And I followed the advice a lot of people left for me. Cook it for longer, use a different spatula, wait until the pan is hot. At this point, I was like, okay, what the f? So I finally did something I should have done a long time ago. I pulled up a YouTube video. The Kitchen Princess manga's recipe instructs you to keep the pan at low heat, but the pan was not sustaining a temperature hot enough to cook the crepes. So I did what the video guy told me and cooked them for 1 minute on each side at medium-high heat. Freaking finally. And it pains me to say this, but they were good. Even better than the crepe cake I made last time. Ugh, maybe crepes do have rights after all.
Whatever.
Now we head into chapter 23, otherwise known as recipe 23, and the vibe just starts to get a little weird here. Sure, Najika finally confesses her feelings to Sora. Sure, Fujita-san reveals that he learned how to make souffle ice cream because Najika's late mother taught him when he was younger. But as a reader, you're kind of put off, not only by the sheer number of confessions in this chapter, but by the delays. Najika, I'll tell you how I feel about you after the competition. Daichi, there's something I need to talk to you about later. And also, I just, for no reason at all, want to tell you that I've always loved you, brother. Like, damn, Sora. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that it sounds like you're about to die or something. Or, I don't know, get hit by a truck in a terrible accident on your way to deliver vanilla beans to Najika. But how about that souffle ice cream? This was quite a simple recipe, but I was suddenly concerned when I realized the egg whites in the mix were just raw and uncooked. But The internet told me it was okay. And it made for a very airy and light ice cream. Honestly, airier than I really prefer. Like, you know how certain ice cream brands are kind of ice chippy, if you know what I mean? That's what this was. I like a thick cream. But this was good for what it was, and I love vanilla, so it was always going to win me over taste-wise. Yeah, volume 5 ends on a cliffhanger of all cliffhangers. Najika waiting in the rain for a Sora who's never going to show up. But this wouldn't be Kitchen Princess without a little fluffy bonus story at the end to ruin the mood. Things are getting good though, so I'll make this quick. Literally. Najika is spending her spring break working part-time at Fujita Bakery with Fujita-san's dad when she's given a request by the mean girls of Sega Academy to bake an entire cake for a party of 20 people, that which she wasn't invited to, in 10 minutes. Najika is better than me, I swear. Kitchen Princess might have ended right here if I were Najika. In any case, she makes microwavable cupcakes that are a hit and all is good. And when I made these, well, I can't exactly say all was good in my hood. When I say rock hard, I really mean rock hard. I think the way these come out really just depends on microwave time, and I was really so disappointed. I bypassed several sweet treats that day in preparation for this, and I could just barely eat it. One day I will try again, but this day was not it. I won't lie, some of the recipes I made for this day too had me stressed out. And it's not easy when all you want to do is just bake all day. But you have other obligations like jobs, family stuff, car repairs. Ooh, don't even get me started on my car situation. Something I do that helps me manage the stress is journaling, and I actually came across this class on Skillshare that kind of marries the concept of drawing art while filling out journaling prompts. Skillshare is an online learning community. They have a bunch of online classes specifically for creatives to take that help you not only hone the skills of your trade, but also classes that just inspire creativity. The journaling class that I took was by Mira Lee Patel, and it's so self-reflective in such a comforting way. I love how there's no pressure to make perfect art, just using the tools you have to draw what you think makes you unique, choosing the color palette of your perfect world, and painting your fears in bursts of color is enough. And it's not just traditional art. Skillshare has tons of amazing classes spanning from digital art, photography, culinary arts, entrepreneurship, and tons more to help nurture the creative in you. Skillshare has also given me a link and a QR code so that the first 500 of you who click it or scan it on the screen will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So you can start exploring your creativity today. With a fluffy bonus story serving as the conclusion to Volume 5, it's time to get back to the real drama of Kitchen Princess. And if you're trying to avoid spoilers, now might be a good time to finish reading the manga and then come back to this video. Okay? Okay. So Sora fucking dies. Like, what? Now, I will admit, I did happen to know that there was going to be a major character death because of a fellow content creator friend of mine, Sailor Guardian Hope's video that she made on Kitchen Princess about a year ago, but I couldn't remember which character it was, so it was pretty much like going in blind. But by the time you get to the previous chapter and Sora's talking about some brother, I've always loved you, it's like, oh, this man is about to be killed off. Now, the manga writer, Miyuki Kobayashi, makes it known in several blurbs within these few chapters that this character death is something she had planned from the very beginning, so there were no ulterior motives when it came to this plot twist. But as a reader, I was kind of questioning why this needed to happen, but I guess that's what continuing to read the manga is for, to find out what's going to unfold next. The characters are all, of course, shocked and devastated by this. Najika is literally right next to him as he takes his final breath. And for him to tell her that he's not her beloved, mysterious Flan Prince at the same time, Najika is quite literally traumatized. So much so that when Daichi gives her some tomato bruschetta to eat and gain strength, she says she can't taste anything. The taste buds shocked off of her. Now, I actually wanted to check if this was a real possibility, and yes, according to one study conducted by these medical researchers, that increased cortisol concentrations following exposure to stress are associated with diminished taste intensity of salt and sour solutions. It's actually pretty interesting. I'll leave that in the description if you're interested at all. I made this same tomato bruschetta. And let me just say, you know what Najika was experiencing was serious if she couldn't taste the garlic on these. I mean, oh my god. For the next 17 hours, it was just about all I could taste. There are very few ingredients, but they just work so well together. It's an Italian classic. Great for parties, would recommend. But all of this, Sora's death, Najika's lost sense of taste, the lie about her flan prince. It's all happening right when Najika's heading to the finalist round of the confectionery competition. And while Daichi and Akane think she has every right to obviously drop out, Najika couldn't possibly give this up. Sora wouldn't want that for her, and Najika's dream was his dream. So she arrives at the competition site, and with the help of Daichi snapping her out of her dazed state and the spirit of Sora, makes the best dessert, according to her, a flan cake. Flan cake is something I never knew was a thing, or even possible, but the concept sounded interesting enough. However, within the days of me planning my baking schedule, I found myself continuously pushing back the make of this dessert. Something told me it was going to be an entire headache. And while I'm usually proven wrong by these worries, unfortunately, I was right on the money this time. Oh my god.
I'm not looking forward to this.
I think I got very lucky the first time I made caramel back in March for Yume Pati, because it's just been the bane of my existence ever since. In the past, I've used the wet method, which is essentially just cooking the sugar in equal-ish parts water and waiting for it to cook and dissolve. But I decided to go with the dry method this time because that's what the manga instructed. It takes forever for the sugar to melt, and even longer for it to turn into a good color. And then the manga says to stir it, but caramel instructional videos on YouTube, because yes, I was stressed enough to pull up a YouTube video, said that you shouldn't touch it with anything at all. You should just swirl it around. So then why does the manga say? And then of course, the sponge cake base was one of those cakes where it tells you to make stiff peaks with the batter. And I had to be mixing it for at least 15 to 20 minutes, and the peaks still weren't stiff. And usually I have the patience for all of this, but I was really being tested that day because 2 hours had already gone by and I hadn't plated a single thing. The caramel, the confusing instructions, the stiff peaks. This cake was like the final boss of aggravating kitchen princess recipes. But after cooking in the steamer and cooling in the fridge, it came out I mean, whatever, I'll take it. It's such an odd combination of textures. Like, it has a pretty one-note flavor profile, but yeah, that is definitely flan on top of a cake. I think with a different cake flavor, this would have been a real standout and probably even more delicious, but it wasn't bad at all. And as much as I love caramel, I hate making it, so I'm probably never going to touch this again. Well, the next chapter is completely devastating. We learn that Najika didn't win the competition due to her tardiness, as well as literally fainting after finishing her cake. Not only that, but Sora's father and literally the whole school are blaming Najika for Sora's death, which is really unfair and just tough to read considering Najika has yet to actually do a single thing wrong in this entire manga. But it's nice to know that she still has people on her side, including the dependable Daichi and even Akane, who, knowing that she hasn't eaten in a few days, brings Najika some of her homemade curry rolls. And can I just say that the shift in the relationship between these two is one of the best things to come out of this story. Because why is Akane blushing when giving her these curry rolls? And why is she making appointments with her own primary care doctor to see how Najika can get her taste back? What am I supposed to say? The writing's on the walls. I was quite proud of how these came out. It was my first time doing a sushi roll of any kind, and I thought I'd struggle without the sushi mat, but I was successful. Even though I'll say the second roll definitely came out better. And I'm happy to say I listened to all of your great advice about cutting onions, and I experienced no pain. The smell of curry reminds me of Sunday night dinners growing up, and I did actually happen to make these on a Sunday, so it was quite nostalgic for me. Even though Daichi has made a deal with the devil, promising his dad that he'd replace Sora to live in his image as the heir to the family business as long as Najika gets to stay at the academy, Najika's dipped. She has left the building. Can you really blame her, though? I'm telling you, Kitchen Princess would have been 2 chapters if it were me. I would have been left. And it's when Najika finds herself in her hometown, experiencing probably her lowest moment in the story yet, that her parents' spirit, Sora's spirit, and ultimately Daichi are there to dispel her biggest fear. She's not alone and never will be. And it was in this moment that after 6 volumes and several metaphors that I realized that Najika actually means rainbow. Yeah, I should have known that one. Anyway, Najika and Daichi walk back to Najika's old house. Najika realizes she's got her sense of taste back, and to thank the family living there for their hospitality, Najika makes them yogurt bread. This was really cool. It tastes slightly sour and reminds me more of a biscuit than of a bread, but it's a really easy recipe and so perfect for butters, jams, all of that good morning biscuit stuff. I was a fan.
Wait.
Next chapter, Najika's back at the academy, but things are a little different. She can't stay in the dorms because she lost her scholarship. She's been transferred out of the special class, and not only that, Daichi's like a completely different, more serious, no-nonsense person now that he's taken over Sora's role as the student body president. Well, maybe that's not entirely true. He can't resist Najika's great food, and the best-selling item on the menu right now is baked sweet potato mash. I don't think there's a single recipe in this manga that is more literal. That was quite literally baked sweet potato mash. I don't know why I expected anything different, but it's a nice little snack, and if you ever need an easy side dish to bring to the cookout, this one would be a winner. But there's someone even less impressed by this dessert than I was. Like, really? Bad-mouthing the cook? Who is this guy? But when he lifts his cap to reveal himself, could it be none other than Sora Senpai himself? Dun dun dun. There's a lot of drama in the volume we just went over, so much that it's overwhelming, and reading it a second time was pretty difficult. I kind of dreaded doing it. But the good writing here is what keeps you going. I liked how Najika, after being so depressed about her lost loved ones and thinking maybe she'd be better off dead too, regains her sense of taste by drinking water, of all things. A source of life, purity, and cleansing. And the bonus story here is also a painfully sweet one, detailing Sora's initial instruction from his father to look after Najika when she arrived at the academy, and how he ended up really falling for her just by observing her from afar and watching how she interacts with people and the world around her. This bonus story is so sweet and was actually the first time this manga made me cry. It also houses a very simple recipe: Café au chocolat. I felt like a real boss because I could just reuse the decaf coffee packets and cocoa powder from my part 1 video, but I found the taste to be pretty watery, probably because the recipe instructs you to use water as a base. But if I were to make this again, I'd just skip the water and use milk. Just a preference. Still, an easy little recipe from a super sweet story. Spoiler alert, this dude is not the second coming of Sora. Nope, his name is Seiya Mizuno, a genius junior pastry chef who is supposed to be serving as the replacement of Najika and being the new cooking school's spokesperson. He's so sure of himself that he invites the crew to his own party to celebrate his own transfer into the school. Like, who does this? And at the party, he smacks a girl's food out of her hands for trying to season his perfect cooking with salt. But he also serves delicious fruit cocktails. Now listen, I am not a fan of sparkling water in any capacity, but I was excited to try this. I mean, look at how pretty that looks. And I went through a lot of grief getting these ingredients for some reason, even though it's literally just fruits. I'm so upset. I bought this cantaloupe and I initially wasn't even going to buy it because it's so big, so much bigger than I need. There were only 2 left and I was like, whatever, I'll just buy the big one. This was 2 days ago. 2! I picked this up just now, about to make this fruit cocktail, and it's soft on the bottom. Are you kidding?
Are you kidding?
But the result was pretty refreshing. It literally is just fruits floating in club soda, and maybe I should have used champagne or white wine for a more refined taste like the manga suggests. But it reminded me of this one summer when I was really obsessed with fruit-infused water because it was all over Tumblr and Instagram. Does anyone else remember? What was up with that? Anyway, Seiya's behavior and belief that science, mathematics, and high-quality, expensive ingredients makes his food better irks Najika enough to agree to a cooking competition with him. I love when Najika gets a fire lit from under her. Not like she's a perfectly natured character on the regular, but some of her best character traits are enhanced when she's angry. Well, the two of them settle on a competition to make madeleines, and this is also a recipe that I have a history with. I happen to make madeleines for my Yumedo Patissier video. But I must confess something. If you go back and watch that video, you might notice that I never actually show you the bottoms of the madeleines. Well, let's just say they were not camera ready. So I was actually really excited to give these another try. And they did not disappoint. Ugh. Such a simple dessert, but so tasty and fun to eat. The hump did look different from the Yume Pati ones I made, but I think it's because that dough I had sitting overnight while the manga recipes instructed me to have it sit for 10 to 20 minutes. In any case, I loved these. And to the surprise of many, Najika's madeleines reign victorious over Seiya's. Because while the ones he made were great, Najika focused on making madeleines that she knew the judges would like based on their preferences. And while I think Yumedo Patissier might have reheated Kitchen Princess's nachos a bit on this one, I can't blame them. It's a great narrative device. When it comes to Daichi, things start getting a little domestic. Najika's tired from her win and from eating so many sweets that he makes her a Neapolitan spaghetti. She falls asleep at the table and he drapes his jacket over her shoulders and brushes her hair between his fingers. Like, oh, these aren't just silly little feelings he can't process anymore. He likes her. Heck, he's changed his whole life just for her to feel safe. Daichi's done a lot of growing up. And we're not the only ones who've picked up on this, because Akane is there too, observing all of this, and she has some feelings of her own to process. But back to this spaghetti. I know a lot of Japanese and East Asian recipes will often use ketchup as a seasoning, so that wasn't odd at all to me, but I didn't know what to expect regardless. And I will say, I was pleasantly surprised. It was a flavor I was expecting, but also better than I expected. The Worcestershire sauce is really what gives it that kick of flavor needed. And since I started eating meat again, I haven't really liked pork, but I appreciated the cut up bacon in here. Easy and tasty. The distance Akane feels from Daichi is becoming so pronounced that she hardly recognizes him anymore. What happened to the carefree boy who cheered her up all the time when they were younger? And when she finds out that the reason why he's changed his life, done everything his father wanted him to do, was all to protect Najika, you can actually feel her heart drop. But this pining and longing for Daichi, this displaced animosity she feels towards Najika because of it, she knows she can't go on like this. She needs an answer. She needs closure. And the best way she can do it is by making a strawberry millefeuille and confessing her years of feelings to Daichi. Am I pronouncing that right? I took French in my entire secondary school years. Millefeuille.
Millefeuille.
Ooh, that is a terrible Americanized way of saying it. Millefeuille. Can you imagine? Millefeuille. Ugh. This chapter is so good, in my opinion. It's the second time this manga made me cry, and you end up feeling sorry for Akane. Not out of pity, but out of relation and a bit of understanding of what she's going through. Even though what she experiences is rejection, this moment of asking for clarity so that she can move forward with her life is Akane's most shining moment. Not to mention the strawberry millefeuille is incredible. Oh my dear God. Not to be dramatic, but this is like the prettiest thing I've ever made. I still had pie crust left over from the peach pie in the last video. Cutting and shaping it was a little bit of a struggle, but the result was so good. It is kind of like a strawberry whipped cream sandwich with extra steps, but the pie crust was so buttery and complemented the mild taste of the whipped cream and the sweetness of the strawberries. Oh, it was so good. I think this might have been my favorite thing yet. And I love how often these 3 volumes had me using mint leaves as little decorative flavored garnish.
I am really proud of these. They look so pretty.
I now believe that a mint leaf will just make anything look that much prettier. But then we come to the last chapter of volume 7, and this one is actually pretty silly. Akane's recovered from the awkwardness of having been rejected by Daichi. She's able to speak to Najika again with a clear mind. We get this panel. I'm just saying. But most notably, Najika's made it a mini goal to earn money to help out Hajio Sensei and the Lavender House. And in true Najika fashion, she does this by entering multiple eating competitions. And to the dismay of Seiya, one of these competitions is taking place right across from him. I actually really appreciate this chapter. We kind of get to see the human side of Seiya and watch him and Najika bond over their tastes and love of food, particularly over their opinions on cheesecake. Now this is a conversation I can get in on. Cheesecake is my favorite cake. I'm not sure when in my life it became my favorite cake. All I know is that for my entire childhood, my favorite cake was ice cream cake. And then all of a sudden, when I thought about it again, it was cheesecake. In any case, I was so excited for this recipe, especially because they provided not 1, but 2 recipes to trial, acknowledging the difference between rare cheesecake and baked cheesecake. I was ready. Still a little agitated from the flan cake I made that day, but ready nonetheless. And let me just say, I've never been so disappointed. The rare cheesecake, like eating a block of cream cheese. The baked cheesecake, better, but even then, not that great. All of this anticipation and hype I built up, saving the cheesecake until the very end, only to be presented with 2 subpar cream cheese blocks. I could have cried.
Okay, that was weird.
This did, however, empower me to pursue an even better cheesecake recipe with the type of flavor and consistency that I prefer. Yes, one day I will right these wrongs. Overall, part 2's recipes were somehow much easier than part 1's, even though it doesn't seem like it based on my recounting. Maybe it's because I had to make 5 less desserts, but I was pretty chill throughout most of the process. I would be okay though if I never had to make caramel again. The all-stars. The strawberry mi fei 100% has my heart forever, must make again. The strawberry tart. The custard was so tasty, I need more of it in my life. And the curry roll. It's given me more ideas for simple sushi roll recipes, and I think learning how to make this is actually really going to benefit me in the kitchen. The fall stars. Unfortunately, I have to put the black sesame castella in here, and it's no fault of the recipe itself. I just cooked it for too long, and I probably would have made it again if I had the time. The microwavable cupcakes. Honestly, I think this is, again, me cooking it for too long, but this time I was really following the instructions. So like, what do you want from me? And my cheesecake critic heart wants to put the cheesecakes in here, but I could just be picky. I'll let you decide. It's clear that from volume 5, everything in Kitchen Princess shifts into an even heavier tone, but it's still able to bounce back and provide really sweet and lighthearted moments between the characters. And with Seiya revealing to Najika that he met her once before when they both lived in Hokkaido, the mystery of who Najika's flan prince is becomes even more pronounced. The plot thickens. With only 3 more volumes in the series, that means we've tackled 37 recipes so far. Can you believe it? Because I can't. I'm excited to get into the final chapters of Kitchen Princess with you, where we'll be able to say, wow, we did it. So stay tuned for the finale of my Kitchen Princess series. Again, be sure to check out my now open Patreon. We've got fun things going on there. The link is going to be in the description. And until volume 8, that is all I have for today. I thank you for being here, and until next time, I'll see you in my dreams. Bye, friends.